The Square Ball Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the West Stand. This is our new show that's out on a Monday and a Friday where we welcome guests from across the world of Leeds United, journalists, commentators, ex-players. We've got a little bit of both in there today. My name is Dean Smith. With me is Michael Normanton, and for the first time in this chair, Tony Dorigo.
Hello.
Okay, so, I wish we were talking for the first time under slightly more stable ground, Tony, but I guess the first place to start with is the game last night. So, Middlesbrough at home in the League Cup, Leeds United 0, Middlesbrough 3. What did you make of it?
Why don't you ask me something about nuclear fusion? That would be way easier.
Okay, let me just quickly research. No, what was going on?
Really frustrating, clearly. You've got 8 changes to the side. The changes that came in, I would suggest most of them probably think that they should be in that first 11, and they had the opportunity to go out there and prove it. What was clear was that we were really poor in lots of areas. The first game of the season, of course, must have knocked their confidence a little bit, because I didn't see any of this coming, because in pre-season I thought we looked really good. We looked strong, structured, organised, and full of goals as well. And okay, I know 1 or 2 have left, but what you're then getting from a Middlesbrough performance, was not what the lads are capable of. So they'll be really disappointed. But I'd like to say I could pinpoint one particular area, but a lot of the areas, weren't very good. So, we couldn't dictate. We couldn't attack into the last third. Our defending at times and our positioning was poor. So you put all that together against what was a very well organised side, who also made 7 or 8 changes. So that's no excuse. But quite simply, they were better than us on the night, which was disappointing.
Do you think anyone emerged with any credit? Because I think when you make a lot of changes in a League Cup game, you probably accept a defeat to an extent, and you accept it's not going to look as fluid as the first team does, but you want 2 or 3 fringe players to actually turn up and maybe stake a claim. I don't feel that happened at all yesterday, particularly.
What you need is a performance, and you're right, whatever the result is, but you need something to take from that game into the next game. So we know how important West Brom is. Cups, it's a strange situation, because back when I played, the cups were still important, and you would just want to play every single game, every single minute. And I know things are, have changed now, and the value of the league and getting promotion is such that that's where everything is aimed at. At the same time, you're right. You've got to look at your squad and think, well, I need players pushing to get into that starting 11. And I'm looking last night, and I can't tell you, one that would be honest enough to say, put his hand up and say, I should be playing Saturday. I'm looking probably at Rothwell. I thought first half he was nice and busy and tried to be positive, but I think when suddenly everything is kind of falling down around you, we saw the performance that we got. Little worrying, I have to say.
Yeah, so looking at Farke then, making 8 changes, it's probably the earliest in the season that I've heard "what the fuck is going on" being sung in the second game, in the middle of the second half. How much blame is on his doorstep this morning, or is it more a collective effort of the players having to look at each other? If you think back to your day, would you, after that kind of performance, would you be in the dressing room talking it out amongst yourselves, or would there be an element of thinking about what the manager has done right or wrong?
Well, I think the manager's come out and said, it's me, I take on the chin and all that sort of stuff. But as a player, you've got to put your hand up and say, we weren't right. And there's no way that the manager has sent them out to make those sort of mistakes and play that way and defensively really lose the plot near the end, or that's certainly a 20-minute period. So as much as the manager, I think, is trying to take certainly the weight off the players, those players coming in, you can't tell me that they're not better than what they performed. So what will I suppose we gather from last night is that West Brom, that performance is really important to get us back on track, and that's where the players, whoever play, need to show exactly what they're about. But there's no doubt they didn't perform anywhere near their best last night.
Yeah, I think something that screams to me is uncertainty. So if we know, we're going to talk about the news that broke last night about Rutter and maybe a clause being met there. But if some of these players are looking around at each other going, we don't know who's going to be here at the end of the window, again, from your playing career, is that something that could produce a performance like that?
No,
No?
not at all. Not at all. You've got your own professional pride.
Sure.
And you want to get in there and play. And so whatever anyone else does or happens, that's not controllable by you. So me as a player, when I used to play, I'm thinking, right, what can I control? And that's my performance. So I'm going to make sure, I understand what my roles, my responsibility is, who I'm playing with, and go out and give the best performance I can. I don't care who's there. I don't care who it is. You're putting on a white shirt, and that's what you do. So I don't buy that one. I think certainly that performance, there has been uncertainty last pre-season. We know, a lot of the comings and goings. I think Georgie, whatever this clause is and whatever's happened, for me, he came on last night and gave it everything. So, he applied himself as he rightly should. Whatever comes with it, I don't know. So no, I don't see that as that's an excuse rather than anything else.
But is that just you though? Like you, from watching you growing up, you would have run through brick walls to Leeds United. Is that? I'm not excusing the players, by the way, but is that something that might be playing into this slightly wobbly start?
Well, you can say that, and I look at one or two performances, and then you would say, well, is everyone on the same lines? But I've not seen an inkling of that not happening, and I do think we've got an honest bunch of lads, honest bunch of boys. I think last season, what was clearly lacking for me at times on the pitch was experience. In those key moments, we didn't have quite enough leadership, and I don't mean just one being the captain, but I mean other players can show leadership when things are going wrong. I didn't see enough of that at those important times, and that is just a lack of experience. And these lads now will have another year under their belts. But I think I think the attitude amongst the squad is good, very good.
What did you make of Max Verber last night? Because you're saying about the experience, I know he's only mid-20s, but he's played a lot of football. He's 20-odd caps for Austria. You would expect him to be someone who would maybe step up. And I felt like last night, from getting turned within the first couple of minutes, it was a struggle for him.
It was. And what we do know from when he played with us before, he's a wholehearted player. He's honest, and he's a decent player, more than decent. And he didn't perform last night. It was disappointing, you're right. And when he got turned early on, I think the Bergsorg had a bit of pace on him, and from then it was all a bit of a struggle. What is his assets? Well, he's very good and comfortable on the ball. He likes to get forward as well. Obviously hasn't played with his defensive partners, with Joe Rodon before, so a bit of maybe a lack of understanding there. But even so, you're right. He'll surely admit that was not his best performance. So I think when you're trying to come back like Aronson, they've got to get everyone on side, the fans and what have you. And I've actually talked to both of those lads as well, and they're really good lads. And it's great, and they're coming back, and they've got a point to prove. But I'm sure Max will say, there's plenty more I can do, and that wasn't reflective of what I can do.
Yeah, and touching on the fans there, and the idea of some of these players needing to mend some bridges. How was the atmosphere last night, Michael, from your point of view as a fan? I wasn't there last night. I was in a cabin in the woods in Skipton. I literally found out all of this nonsense this morning. Feels like my head's on fire. But having watched the highlights, looked like there was a lot of empty seats towards the end. How was that atmosphere? How did that feel in the ground?
It was quite demoralising from the point of, I think the bit where it tipped from that people being angry to it being actually fairly funny was when we made 5 changes and they scored within about 30 seconds, and that's when the real exodus began. But then it was a sort of a slow trickle away for the final half an hour as people were just like, yeah, this is done. I've got work tomorrow. I'm gonna I'd rather be sat on the motorway than watching the last minutes of this playing out. Atmosphere was flat, I would say, as it has been I thought the opening game was fairly flat as well, truth be told, from where we know it can be at Ellen Road. I mean, cup games are a bit strange as well because you get a lot of people, like, for example, I was in the West Stand last night, because you get a lot of people moving seats. You get maybe people who don't normally go, so it's the normal crowd dynamic is a bit mixed up. But at no point did it feel like it was really getting going. And the first half I thought was very boring, but just about acceptable, albeit with some fairly jarring structural issues. It felt like we were back to watching Jesse Marsh to an extent, because we had Gelhardt and Aronson theoretically playing wide, but they're both central players, so it felt like there was never anyone out on the touchlines, which was causing a bit of an issue. So there was never anything from the team to really get us going. I think there was an early Firpo chance and a Byram header that went over, but we didn't cut them open at any point. So there was never anything to really get the crowd going. And then it just completely tailed off to the point where, I just say, an hour in, people are. It wasn't exactly like Farker out chance, but I think it's the first time at Ellen Road I've sensed that people were a bit sick of what they were seeing.
Right. Yeah. Well, thinking about the 310s that were in behind Bamford last night, let's talk about the summer transfer business that Leeds have done. How do you rate the business so far? I guess let's start with incomings. How do you rate Bogle? Obviously, the full-time signing of Joe Rodon. How do you think we've done in the transfer market?
I think certainly we know the issues that we've got, the legacy of various clauses, and as we are now finding out, they're still to play out. But there's no doubt that I think our recruitment guys certainly understand all that. They have issues to deal with, and they've got plan A, B, and C. But the longer the window goes on, those plans become more and more difficult. And as we see what's happening now, how are we going to be dealing with this one? So it's tough. It is tough because you want to keep your best players, and certainly Archie for lots of reasons you'd love him to stay and grow with Leeds United, but it just wasn't possible. So you have to be a bit of a realist, and at the same time, then when you do get this sort of money in, use it really wisely, and buy some experience. What is it that we're lacking? What were we missing last season? And can we add that to the squad? So hence the likes of Rothwell, on loan. It's quite a no-brainer, really, just a bit of experience in the midfield area. Bogle, again, looks a young, hungry player with plenty of experience. But it's when you start, losing some talent further up the pitch, that's the concern, and that has to be replaced. And if you take Somerville's goals out, you take Rutter's assists and goals out, there's a bit of a chasm there, and that has to be filled.
Yes, certainly. So let's talk about Jorginho. So we're recording this. Let's timestamp this. This is 12:20 on Thursday. So this will come out tomorrow, Friday, if you listen to this. So by the time this comes out, this might all be done. But it does sound like Jorginho is going to Brighton, having them activated a £40 million release clause. This feels very late, and I believe there has been there was an expiration date on his release clause that was supposed to be midnight last night that they have triggered, so it looks as though he's going. How difficult is it going to be to replace the likes of Somerville and Rutter going late into the window here? Because clubs will know that we've got cash coming in. I think there's maybe a little bit of a Leeds United tax sometimes where the prices can go up a little bit because of the size of the club that we are, especially in this division. If you were sat where we're sat now, Tony, and I know you're a Leeds United fan yourself, how worried would you be going into the last few moments of this window?
Listen, it's a pretty obvious one. I'm concerned. I think we're all concerned of what's going to happen next because, we've already lost the best player in the Championship last year in Somerville, and Jorginho is a young player who certainly came to us at the wrong time, in the wrong situation. But a wholehearted lad who suddenly has got his confidence back, and I look at Jorginho and his smile, and I think if he adds that natural bit of finishing to his game, which at the moment he's a bit of a way off, but you can learn these things. He's off to Real Madrid, because he can do all the other stuff. What he needs to do, obviously, is learn to when to do his tricks and when not to, and that decision making. But he's just young, and what we do see of him, he's got great potential. So to lose all those assists and goals as well, it's a problem. Yeah, absolutely. So these clubs that are looking at our players and paying 40 for Archie and 25 for Somerville, they're paying it because they see potential. So, how do we replace that? And the answer is hopefully going to be coming to us in the next couple of weeks, because I've talked to Greta in the recruitment team, and I like you, I said, well, can you tell me something? Can you give me a bit of information somewhere? And he looks at me and goes, I'm going to tell you nothing. I said, okay. He says, because we want to keep everything in-house. We have a trusted circle. We know what we're doing. We have all our plans in place, and we are ready to respond, as and when. And so I'm telling you nothing at all. I thought, okay, but that's good, because I don't want to know. You shouldn't, we shouldn't be knowing. But at the same time, you mentioned before, now with the clock ticking, now with the window, going down and down, you can't tell me we're going to get anything a load cheaper all of a sudden. So it's a gamble, but I have confidence in what they've previously done, and so I will. We can judge them at the end of the window, and then let's see what difficult circumstances have cropped up and what they've done about it.
It's a tough act to follow, though, isn't it, for anyone coming in to be the Gray replacement, the Somerville replacement, the Rutter replacement, because these are people who, certainly in the case of Gray and Rutter, people have loved. Somerville was amazing last year as well, loads of assists and things. If, for example, someone came in, like Jane Anthony is a name I've heard linked to coming back, I think a good player, but if he was to come in and was sold to us as a Somerville replacement, I think people would quite rightly be annoyed about it, and I think it puts a hell of a lot of pressure on him. So how easy it is for those players, I guess, to arrive and settle into a first team when you've got a fan base going, I don't want this, I want the old thing.
Tough. It is tough, and I think anytime you come to a club like Leeds, you need to make sure that the players coming in's got the right mentality and can handle all of the things you just said, because we have lost certain players, and to try and replace them in the Championship for less money. Well, you got to come up with some rough diamonds, haven't you, somewhere, or players that you think can kick on that we can then make better and better. We also have to look at what we've got, and like a Matteo Joseph, I think he certainly will be the next one to come through. Really impressed with him in pre-season. I thought he played well against Portsmouth. He was unlucky, not to score. But yeah, you're right. It's going to be a hard act to follow, and let's hope it's just not on one guy's shoulders either. Let's hope it's going to split between two. Hopefully three. Greta, are you listening?
So you're saying we're going to sell Joseph to Bournemouth in January? Is that what you're saying?
No. We are not selling him anywhere.
His $2 million release clause has been met.
Oh, you cynics.
Can you blame us?
Yeah, actually, you did say that I'll be the only one still here because I haven't got a release clause.
Well, we were talking before you came in. You have a unique perspective on this kind of activity. A very open question. What is it like being sold?
I tell you what, I'll take you back to the first time it happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether it's naivety or just, falling in love with the club that you're at that gives you the chance. But so I went to Aston Villa to start with, and they gave me my chance. I wrote a letter from Australia. They gave me a 4-day trial when I was 15 years of age. I wrote 12 letters. They were the only club to come back to me. They said, just turn up on a Monday morning on this date, and we'll let you have 4 days with the youth team. And so beside myself, amazing. I go across, I go there, say, stay another week, and they sign me as an apprentice. I then thought I was kind of the worst of the 10 or 11 lads that signed as 16-year-olds. At 17, I was probably one of the best one or two. And then at 17 and a half, I'm signed pro. 18, I'm in the first team, and off I go. And they gave me my chance. And it was brilliant. So they won the European Cup just a couple of seasons before. So huge club. What a chance. I'm playing at Villa Park. I'm 18. I'm an Aussie kid. This is amazing. They give me another new contract. They give me then another new contract. I win Player of the Year when I was 19 or 20, whatever it was. All going great. But unfortunately, the breakup of the old side meant a lot of youngsters were coming through. Martin Keown was there at the same time as me. And we couldn't score any goals. I get a phone call out of the blue from Deadly Doug Ellis, the owner of Villa at the time, to say, Chelsea want to sign you. We want to sign their striker, David Speedie, but they will not let us sign David Speedie unless you go the other way. I'm picking you up in 2 hours, and we're going down to Heathrow Post House Hotel to have a chat with them.
Wow. And
so my bubble just burst.
Mm.
I was thinking, I'm there for life. Things are going great. I love this place. And then all of a sudden, the club turn around and say that. So I go down there, and on the other side of this corridor was Ken Bates with David Speedie. And so me and my chairman, Doug Ellis, about 30, 40 yards away, and there were some meeting rooms in the middle. And honestly, it was like a hostage situation. Speedie starts walking towards me. I start walking in the way. And he then turns around to me and says, good luck with him. And we all know about Mr. Bates. But it didn't happen at that time. But my mind suddenly turned from, oh my God, this is a business. And when they're ready to sell me, they're quite happy to say on your bike, whether I wanted to kind of stay or not. So I soon worked out that, okay, you have to then look at yourself as well. And so the players, when all this is kind of going on, we all need to understand, it is a business and the love affair eventually will come to an end at some point.
I think that's maybe why this transfer that is transpiring with Jorginho feels so sad to the fan base. Is Georgie is just so full of light and life and love and it's clearly enjoyed his time at Leeds. But then just when you said that, then I wrote it down, business. It is a business.
It is, and that's the cold hard facts, when you're in amongst it. And Georgie, you're right, because I love his character. Last season, I was talking to Georgie. So before the game, me and Bryn will interview a player and have a little chat. Afterwards, you talk to a player and the manager and what have you, and then I talk to Bryn. So we always see the players come in and we always say hi and what have you. And Georgie's got his headphones on, but every now and then, we say hello. And so one particular game, I said to Georgie, who wasn't scoring, he was missed a few chances. So I said to Georgie, today's the day. Today's the day that you are going to score. He goes, Tony, yeah? I said, yeah, no, today's the day. Anyway, Georgie scores. Unbelievable. Brilliant. So afterwards, go down to Plymouth, I think it was. And he hadn't scored for ages. And I said, Georgie, I can feel it again. This is your day. And he scores again. So he scored it. He says, Tony, we need to talk all the time. I said, okay. Anyway, I didn't catch him. And Coventry away, which was a really big game for us, I thought, I need to get into his head somehow, I says, Georgie, you're going to score. And he goes, I know, I had the same dream. I'm going to score with a header. I said, Georgie, you're never scoring with a header, mate. You've got no chance. So what I mean is, he's a lovely lad. You can have this banter with him. And he's just a wholehearted guy that everyone really likes. And I get where you're coming from with Georgie.
Well, it sounds as well like you have managed to hypnotise him over the years. So I think we need to get Tony in a room with Georgie soon so that you can whisper in his ear, you're staying.
That money will ruin him. He needs to just stay on. I mean, it's still a lot of money. He's doing fine at Leeds, but the Premier League money, he doesn't want that.
He doesn't want that. He needs to build gradually. Take us with him and on we go. We'll have some great fun.
He might not even get in their team, and that would be a shame for him because he just loves playing football. It's weird to think back to I guess, a year ago when if someone had said we were getting 40 million for him,
well, that's the thing.
You'd probably have gone, well, that's an unbelievable offer because we've not seen a single thing from him, had we, at this point last season? And a year on, we're all devastated he's leaving for that money.
Well, we don't know he's leaving yet.
Come on, he's gone.
That's the thing. No, I'm not having it. I'm going to go and talk to him. I need to go. I need to go and find Georgie. I mean, it's going to be extremely difficult, obviously, to turn down. Brighton have been quite eager, haven't they, with the one bid after another. Because how many players are like that out there? Yeah, how many players can give you what Georgie has got? And we know he still has to improve. We know that at times he tries silly things in wrong areas of the pitch, but when he gets it right, and some days he's unplayable. And more importantly, then he's got the ability and the vision to get his head up and play that pass. And that would be for any manager, extremely important. So I'm hoping he hasn't gone. I'm keeping everything crossed.
From within the dressing room, a player leaving once the season has already started. You've obviously been at Leeds while Batty was sold. How did that, as a character, you probably can't get any more of a difference between David Batty and Jorginho Rutter, but how does that feel from within the club when you're selling a key player once the season's already underway? Yeah,
you know what? It's always sad, absolutely, because you get on with your teammates, you've been through a lot together, but you understand it's a business. You understand at the end of the day, what happens the following day is exactly the same as what happened the previous day. Doesn't matter who's there. You've got a contract, you play football, and you've got to perform to your best. So, you can't go on strike. You can't get upset. You just get on with it. Whatever the manager says, you try and do.
But just go back to the Batty transfer. While that's going on, are you aware of it playing out in the background, or is it literally just coming one day? And I know obviously the internet and stuff wasn't around, so you're not kind of reading speculation in the same way. But you just come in one day and they go, "Oh, David's gone. By the way, he's gone for a medical."
Pretty much so. Yeah. I mean, you might get one or two whispers on certain ones, but some are just like that. Yeah. Suddenly they're up and gone. So it's done in the background, and away you go. It's just the way that it works. I mean, there's no point broadcasting it all the time, is there? That's the thing. And certain players, I think, mean a lot to the football club. So you have to get out and get some replacements and the right ones.
Carlton Palmer, in the case of David Batty.
Good old CP.
He struck me as someone who didn't necessarily mind the pressure of it, even if the fans were not as keen on him as David Batty.
He loved the pressure. I mean, he loved all that. Yeah, CP was great. We used to say his first touch was that bad. His second touch was a header or a tackle. No, CP. I am kidding, mate. I tell you what, he's got the heart of a lion, and he would run up and down and he'll give everything. Whatever he's got. And okay, I think even he will admit he wasn't the most technically gifted, but I tell you what, he would give his all. I think that's all you can ever ask.
The Square Ball Podcast.